Last time on Big Data and Brews, Michael Zeller, the CEO of Zementis, taught Stefan how to properly drink a Hefeweizen.
At the end, before you pour everything, you kind of swish a little bit so you can get the yeast.
Something on the ground.
The yeast at the bottom.
He talked about his background.
Don't hold it against me. I'm a physicist. So I studied machine learning, used it in robotics, vision processing, and kind of studying the machine learning algorithms and how the brain works.
And discussed exactly how Zementis works.
So the idea is to have a common standard PML, an XML representation of your model that I can consume, that I can first of all export from all data mining tools, commercial or open source, and then consume in our engine and then deploy on various different platforms.
And now here's more Big Data and Brews.
Welcome back to Big Data and Brews with Mike Zeller from Zementis. Isn't there a chocolate? There's something in Germany you put on your bread that's called Zementis too? No, Sentis.
Sentis, I think.
Isn't there like a Nutella kind of thing?
Zementis is actually, I think, a concrete cleaner.
How did you guys come up with the name?
It's actually a combination of two words. So cement, if you spell it in German, is cement, concrete. So that's the first half of the word, and then mentis, the second half of the word is Latin for thought and intellect.
So you cement the intellect.
Concrete thoughts. Concrete intellect.
I like that.
That's the idea, and of course, it wasn't one of the names that was already registered on the internet. As you start a company, that's always important to find the right domain name. But it represents basically the kind of our background in machine learning. That's the idea.
Well, let's drink that beer. It's really nice and refreshing because it's getting hot here. So I do this right here.
Just shake it a little bit and get all the yeast, and then finish it.
Nice.
And then, this is a very typical Bavarian beer. So you just have to imagine you sit in a Munich beer garden now.
Yeah. Okay. I used to work for BMW a year in Munich, but they kept me prison in one of the areas outside of Munich. I had the night shift working on a SGI Flame back then in the early 90s, maybe. Anyhow. Cheers.
Cheers.
So where do you guys have development? Is it mostly in the US? Is it international?
Yeah, most of our development is in the US. We have some outsourcing that we do in Hong Kong.
Oh.
Yeah, so we have an office in Hong Kong. My co-founder is actually based in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So it gives us a good coverage for clients in Asia, although we also operate for partners in Asia and Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the biggest market is, I guess, then the US and then Asia and then Europe?
Yeah, Europe and Asia, I think, are still competing on big data. I think catching up with the US, I think here is definitely the largest market, and big data is really the driving force behind adoption of predictive analytics currently. I think that's what we see.
And what else do you see interesting in the market? I mean, you said you're the Switzerland. So what trends do you observe?
I think, excuse me. I think we see a strong adoption of anything related to data. Right now, everyone, of course, is abusing the word data science and data scientists. So there's a big confusion about what it is. Same as what is big data? How big does it have to be be considered big? And it's all relative. So I think it's a blend of experience on the data scientist side, which I would think is machine learning, and on the big data side, it really depends. Whenever you can't handle it in your usual ways, then it becomes big for you. But it's really, I think, it's driving the adoption of machine learning and statistical algorithms. It's just how you would make decisions based on all the data that you're collecting today.
And is that the first use case that people try to do, or is that kind of an afterthought? They first trying to do other things. Like when is it when they call you guys up? When they fixed everything, they already have the data integration and the shake and bake analytics, or even before, and then they have to build infrastructure to get you guys going?
I think most often they have done the basic homework. They have data. They've collected some data. They have some statistical algorithms. They have models, but have done this either with custom coding or very dedicated solutions, and they're hitting the limit of what they can do, and they'd like to move to a more common platform, a more common approach, give themselves more options rather than writing custom code. So what we see is really the transition from, I would say, a one-off pilot in the corner to a mainstream business application where a common standard, a common process is just inevitable. I mean, it's important as every database speaking SQL, as every browser using HTML. It's just kind of a natural progression. The industry growing up, predictive analytics becoming mainstream.
Yeah. How does a data scientist look? So
beard, gray hair,
gray hair, not big.
Or long hair, I guess. So glasses.
I met a data scientist the other day in one of those really hip companies, and he had I think he had a bow tie, had big glasses, and a lot of tattoos. Is that?
I guess maybe that's the new breed.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if there's a stereotype. It's someone who's more on the scientific side. I think who doesn't mind math. I think that's math and physics are kind of the core part of it, and that's the type of person you would find experimenting with algorithms like that.
Yeah. So Ted Dunning was here, who is he wrote he's a contributor to Mahout, and he identified or he found there's a statistical significance in Germans wearing sandals with white socks. So is that your experience too, or is that then just a German data scientist that he met on conferences?
I think there's certainly an outlier there that we would identify Germans easily. I guess there's a few stereotypes like glasses, sandals and white socks. I don't know.
No,
it seems to be.
I mean, if you grew up in Bavaria, the long socks and the lederhosen would be statistically significant.
Very, but I think it depends. It changes from generation to generation, but I think you can identify them.
Any interesting things that came out when companies using your product where you scratched your head? The classical people that drive a red car are twice as likely to engage in car accidents kind of thing. Is there anything you can share where you're just like, wow, I didn't expect that?
Yeah, it was. It's often very, very interesting to see how people react to kind of a new decisioning system that makes decisions based on their data and not necessarily on fixed business rules.
Okay.
So they watch very closely whenever you roll out a new model.
Right.
And so one example that we had is that in a financial institution, a regional manager calls us up and says, the model is making the wrong decision. It's approving this particular credit application, and it shouldn't be doing this.
Okay.
Very bad thing. So everybody got all rallied up.
Right.
We look at the data. And it turns out the idea really is that this was an incident in a certain region, so that particular manager never made a particular credit application, never a particular loan. If you looked at the total population, nationwide,
right,
the company was doing 50, 100 every day, and it was just fine, and it always performed, as the data told us. It was just personal preference on personal decisions that were made in a certain way. So having data-driven decisions gives you, number one, a collective intelligence over all of your data, and a more homogeneous way of making decisions, especially in a large, nationwide company.
So data almost supports democracy then, or unpeels the onion. This guy is there any, especially around those predictive algorithms, are there any concerns on that level? Not just data privacy, but also, political correctness. How can algorithms be political correct?
That's a good question.
Is the data just never lying?
I think they're blind to it. So the good part is they truly use the data and they are unbiased. It's like you're training a neural network, a machine learning algorithm, almost like a little baby. They don't know anything. when they start, and they just learn from data, and they pick up what you show them.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great way to uncover the golden nuggets. The example I mentioned in the financial institution, they noticed that in one region they left those deals on the table. They just didn't do them.
Right.
And nobody ever noticed. Now they could do that. Now they notice it. So it's a way to uncover those inconsistencies and to help make better decisions, to educate, to use the total experience of a company, and especially if it is a very large organization, it gives you a whole different dimension of making more intelligent decisions and helping to focus truly on decisions that need a manager or need a human intervention. But all kind of the middle of the road decisions, the one that you can automate, you should be automating. I don't think we all need more reports or more dashboards. It's really the next step to automate all of that. You kind of have your little intelligent agent do most of the things for you, except the things that you would like to do that really need your attention.
Yeah, so more let machines decide or let algorithms work for you.
Yeah, have them as your intelligent helpers for the most extent. And really be able to focus and cut through kind of the noise and go to the decisions that you truly need to pay attention to.
Let's switch a little bit gears here. So, as a CEO, from CEO to CEO, what's your and you're doing this for a long time. What's the most exciting in building this company right now? What maybe was the most struggling, what was the most challenging events in the history of the company? Is it getting the product right? Is it marketing? Is it scaling sales? How is it for the entrepreneurs that looking big data on Brews? What's the fun part and what's the challenging part?
The fun part is really the variety of clients you get to see, the different organizations and how they approach data and advanced machine learning algorithms and predictive analytics. I think it's very interesting to see that from the outside of large clients that are approaching things completely different and the teams that they have to look at certain projects. So that's the fascinating part, I think, getting to see everything. As part of a company, you have to figure out where's your value, where can you help clients. And the most challenging part I always find, and then maybe that's my bias as a physicist, is that it's the simple things that don't get implemented, like a simple process, a simple standard adoption is just beyond me sometimes, that people wouldn't just adopt it and move forward with all the benefits rather than going their good old ways, because it's always been done that way.
Yeah. In German we would say Arbeitsbeschaffungsmaßnahme.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to translate in English.
It's a very nice long word.
Yeah, it's one of those, my friends always call it Lego words, right? Where you put many words together. So it's maybe a lot of people doing it because they always did it and they're kind of afraid to optimize it because they risk their job.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, we see it a lot. Yeah, that's why we see people that always love SQL. We had this topic here, and we don't want to go there. Yeah. So now that you have a distributed environment, a distributed development team, is that challenging? I mean, what the time difference to Hong Kong? It must be.
Yeah, it's 15 hours, but it's good because
you don't sleep.
That's one thing. You just don't sleep, but it's actually it helps you to kind of do 24-hour, around the clock development. You have something that you finish developing, and then QA happens overnight. You come up in the morning and you find your bugs already being reported.
Nice.
So I think it helps. It's I think something that we can do. As a small company, with cloud computing, you can host your things everywhere. You can even deliver your solutions to anyone, anywhere in the world, in minutes, and you don't have to be there physically. I think it's a great change. What large companies used to be able to do in the past, now smaller companies like us can do. Right. And I think that's changing. It's a threat to large entrenched players, because I think it's changing how business is being done. Much more agile, much more rapid than in the past.
Is it simpler to hire in Hong Kong than in San Diego, or is it mixed? And
I think
Yes,
data
plus and
scientists
minuses.
are always hard to find, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Okay.
Likewise, software development is always hard to find good
Mhm.
people. I think the most challenging part is growing a company is finding the right
Yeah.
team members and growing with them. I think no matter what it is, the technology is almost the easy part.
Mhm.
It's the people around it on the customer side as well as, of course, the
Right.
company side that are the most important elements that are hard to plan for.
In since you talked a little bit about like customers and sales, so the way I would buy your products, I call you up, or do I go to in a teaser and say, hey, I want to have that feature switched on, I want to have that Zementis plugin. So how you guys go to market there?
So we're still doing direct sales as well as OEM integrated sales. So you can buy directly from us. You can go to the Amazon Marketplace and buy it there.
Okay.
Or you can do we have OEM partnerships, or we team up with an IBM, for example, that in accounts we basically co-sell. So it's really still all different models, not exclusive one or the other.
Okay. And maybe to round this all up, what are the exciting technology trends you're seeing in the market that touches Zementis on a day-to-day basis? Are there any new waves of technology you're really excited about?
I think anything related to the Hadoop space is currently exciting customers.
Okay.
I think that's one adoption, one wave that's going to impact how your traditional SQL database works, and what role it will play, your data warehouse will play in the future. So I think that's a massive shift that we see. Likewise, cloud computing, although it's been around for a while, I think adoption has been fairly slow so far. But we're seeing that change significantly. I think the dynamics are shifting rapidly. And I think most exciting for us is really to see the advancement in machine learning, ensemble methods, complex machine learning algorithms. People are not afraid of that anymore because you can deploy them now, you can embed them, you can use them. There's many great tools that the data scientists can use to build them. And it's not that complicated to deploy them with our solutions.
As a last word, where should people use more predictive analytics?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere there's
Like
data.
if you could, if the world would be magic, and you're like, this one thing I want to fix.
I think in general, companies don't rely as much on predictive analytics as they should. I think I don't even want to call out predictive analytics for specific industries, but I think there's enough data that's not being used to the extent it should be. So I think just using existing algorithms and knowledge, existing databases, existing new data that you're collecting more systematically, I think is going to be the next level of optimization. Kind of the next, what the first level was BI. We all do our
We're kind of looking into back mirror and like what happened.
Yeah, now look forward and really by making collection easier, making processing cheaper, making it mainstream. I think that's the next natural step for any kind of optimization you'd like to do.
Great. Well, I will have a few more big data brews, and then you can predict what beer I like the most.
We should do that.
Did you bring more? This is good.
This is good. Yeah, I think
Cheers.
we have a few more. Cheers.
Thanks for watching Big Data Brews, and see you soon.